Good morning. Had some interest in what I do on my days off when I'm not freelancing in production. So I'm going to run you through my day today. It's kind of mundane, but I don't know, maybe you'll find it interesting, and if not, you can fast forward or skip away. All right, got a text this morning from my tenant. Rental house does not have hot water. So these usually only happen on the days when I'm out of town working. Since I'm here, I'm gonna load up my tools and try to fix it myself. Save myself minimum $250 with the plumber. And it could be new water heater, it could be as much as say $1,400. Now, I'm not in a position to swap out a water heater because of my wrist today, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, well, we'll see. I got a couple of theories. We'll talk about it when I get down there. All right, it's an electric water heater. The breaker's on. Just tested voltage, and I got 120 on each side and 240 across the two hots. So I know power is good. Next, I'm going to see if there's actually hot water in the tank. And then I'm going to check the resistance on the heating elements. It's probably bad heating elements, but I don't want to go there first. I want to make sure everything leading up to that point is correct. And yeah, no hot water. All right, so I'm going to unplug this guy with my good hand and take these covers off. Yeah, so this got really hot right here, melty. It's not the heating element, it's the little control board thermostat. I'm pretty sure I installed these like 2 years ago. The upper thermostat, the breaker was tripped. I just reset it, and now I have continuity across both legs. I put the ohms test on the heating element upper, and I'm getting 12, 13 ohms. I know I'm good there. Of resistance, same below is like 12.8, I believe. I do have continuity across these two terminals. I don't think there's a breaker on this lower one. Anyway, I don't know if that had a loose connection and it was arcing. All this insulation's so melted I can't even get to that upper terminal. But anyway, so I'm going to leave the heating elements in, but I'll replace the two thermostats. All right, new lower thermostat, $12. Hopefully this solves my problem. Next up is I'm gonna go find some lunch. My first time driving by this place, and all the tradespeople are here having lunch, so it's gotta be good. Like a giant tea kettle. It's heating up. This was all to code, believe it or not. This isn't. It's like when my foundation guys put the skirting in, they didn't put a notch in for the pan drain. So I need to come back with my recip saw and cut a little U-notch in that skirting so that this pan drains all proper. Came home to a package from B&H. A couple FX3 items. I got the proper Type A cards. Went with a different brand. They were less expensive. See how those work out. Next up, I got this was recommended from Adam Richmond in San Francisco. This is the Desmond Mini Arca Swiss plate for the bottom of the FX9, and I plan to drill out a hole in the corner so I can put a hand strap on the camera. I do wish there was a way to mount 2 screws on the FX3, or like a plate that has a contour on the front and back to nest onto the bottom of the camera so it won't twist. If you know of a small plate, I don't want to do a whole cage situation. I just want a little base plate that's firmly secured with 2 points of contact. But for now, I'm going to run this Desmond. And then for my Ronin, this is the Ronin S sliding dovetail, and it accepts an Arca Swiss right here. This slides in. So that way this can live on the gimbal, and I can slide off the gimbal to clip onto a tripod that's Arca Swiss based. And then I bought this small rig Arca Swiss receiver. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of my Sackler Super 16 touch and go plates on the bottom of this guy, so that I can run my FX3 on one of my 4 Sackler tripods. And then I may actually also get an additional one of these and bolt it to the top of my tool chest. Specifically for TV news, I picked up this laptop shelf. I was going to get the Matthews shelf, but then I found this Pro Aim on B&H. I think the Matthews was $150, and the Pro Aim, which is the same thing, was $100. And I actually saw on my last assignment, the CNN crew had this like little music shelf that had a pin, like a 5/8 pin for a C-stand knuckle. I like that even better because it's the perfect size to hold 2 cell phones, because this is kind of bulky if I gotta get on an airplane. And then I've got my Sanken Cos 11s with nice high wind screens for them, but my Cos 11s are TA5 for electrosonics. And I've got some older Tram, I think they're TL40s, is the model number, that I don't have big windscreens for them. So I ordered these furries. I wanted them in black, but they were out of stock. They only had gray in stock. So we'll start with these, see how they work. They're actually quite a bit larger than I was expecting. And then also for news, I need a good stick mic. I used to have a Electro Voice RE40. Is that the, whatever the standard is, and it got lost at some point. So multiple photogs have recommended to me the Sennheiser MD46. It's a hypercardioid pickup pattern dynamic mic. It's got an extra long handle for doing interviews, and this was developed specifically for doing like sideline football games, or I think the Olympics originally. But anyway, everyone raves about this mic and broadcast. So now I have one. I do wish it wasn't all lettered up like that. That's kind of obnoxious. And then also for high wind, I got a foam screen to put on top. Looks a little small, but it's the size B&H recommended, 1 5/8. I'll try it right now. Yeah, it fits perfect. Now I need a windscreen for the mic on my iPhone. Better look at the Pro Aim shelf. Comes with a bag. I'll probably cut these handles off. They look like they're going to get snagged on everything. So it's got a 5/8 baby receiver, 1/4-20, and a 3/8 tapped thread. And also, is that the Arca Swiss? Oh. No, it's some different dovetail size. Well, here it is installed. I guess the good with this is gray means when it falls off, which it will, it'll be easier to spot on the ground than black. And I'll also be able to use these windscreens on my Oscar Tech mics, which you see on the left here. They're the same size as the Tram. Swapped out the stock DJI plate for the Ronin S with this new one that accepts an Arca Swiss. With the FX3 on there in balance. You can see with the 24-70, I still have a little bit of aft travel on the plate. Looks like that kip lever is actually going to make contact with the rear of the gimbal before I run out of travel. So at any rate, it looks like I have enough room for additional filters on the front. I'll be able to counterbalance and still have clearance. And now with this quick release here, I can quickly go to this Arca Swiss touch and go that I mated with one of my Super 16 Zockler size touch and goes, which allows me to run the FX3 on any of my Zockler plates. And I can also mount the FX3 on any of my carts where I've installed the same style touch and go. I just have to go in the direction this way. Had some interest and questions about the touch and goes that I use on my carts and all my camera plates. So I've standardized on what's known as the Zockler 16mm plate. It's a smaller plate. There's a 35mm and a 16mm. This goes back to the film camera days, and Ronford Baker, I think, may have been the original manufacturer with this plate. I don't know, correct me in the comments if you know who the first company was to roll these out, but basically, yeah, your 16mm cameras would run the little plate, and your bigger 35mm cameras and corresponding fluid heads would run the bigger 35 plate. I'll show you in a minute. I have a 35 plate in my tool chest. But basically, I just buy a lot of these plates, and I have them bolted to all my camera plates, whether they're bridge plates that run on dovetails or ENG style Sony VCT 14 style plates. Everything's universal here, and then all my fluid heads are Zockler, and I have a few other heads like a Liebeck and a Manfrotto, which are not, and they don't use this 16mm plate design. And in those cases, I purchased small rig touch and goes, and I have these bolted to the Liebeck and Manfrotto head. So again, I'm universal. Whatever tripod I grab will mate with any of my cameras without having to swap plates and get out screwdrivers. So this was my original 16 touch and go. I bought this long ago, and this is made by a working camera assistant in Hollywood. The name of the website is Clean's Camera Support. I'm not sure how old this is, but over a decade. This lived on my magliner, and often my old house in California, I would leave my magliner outside overnight, not in the rain, but just some nights it would spend the night outside, and I lived a couple miles from the ocean, so that's where the corrosion comes from. I should swap these fasteners out with stainless steel, but it hasn't affected the operation. It's just getting a little ugly. So this plate is about $450 from Clean's. And you can also buy these from Ronford Baker. I believe Zockler makes one, and Wooden Camera has one as well. They're all priced about the same compared to the small rig, which is about $130. And there are a couple issues with the small rig that I'll go through, as well as there's one issue with the Cleans. And I have not used a Ronford Baker in years, and I have not ever used the Wooden Camera, so I'm not sure if they're similar or different. But top level, the biggest issue with the small rigs is the tolerances are all over the place. Like some other manufacturers' plates clip in, but they're loose, and then others are too tight to the point where the locking mechanism doesn't lock. And I have several of these, and some mate better than others. It just seems to be you're just random what batch you get. Whereas this Cleans every plate from every manufacturer. I've had no problem clipping this in. And I think it has to do with the difference in designs of the locking mechanism. So you can see this one's got the release on the side, where the small rig, it's on the little lever, the sliding release. And the small rig doesn't lock in place until this lever is almost all the way over to here, where the Clean Camera Support, here I'll clip it in, it locks at about the, I don't know what I'll call, nice, David. All right, take two. Because this isn't bolted down, I'm not getting enough of a impact on it to get it to throw. It also needs to be cleaned out. It's all dusty and gross. It needs to be lubricated. So I'm going to put it on upside down so I can smack it. So you can see this one, you just heard the click right there, right at about the 12 o'clock position. It's locked in and it's not going anywhere. And you can continue to throw this lever all the way over to here to cinch it down. So different plates that have different lengths, tolerance differences, you can make up for it by throwing this lever to make it tight, where the small rig, it will not lock in place, like I said, until you're all the way over to here. So this plate is a good example. I'm going to set the phone down. This plate, which I think is actually a small rig, Super 16 plate, on this particular touch and go, it throws the lever and it locked this time. Okay, the first time I tried it off camera, I couldn't get it to lock in, but you can see it's locked. So I guess we're good. Now the difficulty with the small rig that doesn't exist on the cleans is you have to get your finger inside here to throw the latch, the lock, to release it. See, I just lost, my finger popped off and it's still locked. Really difficult. And different carts, like on my Magliner, there's like a fiddle on the shelf, a lip, so it makes it extra difficult to get your finger in there. Or the cleans, it's on the side. Same with Wooden camera, it's on the side. This is a much better design. It's up to you whether or not it's worth the big price difference. I'll show you here on my truck. Side door of my truck, when I'm running in news mode or multi-location, any kind of production, I just leave the camera built and clipped in on the tool chest. So I have this problem here where this is a small rig, touch and go, and I routed out this piece of plywood to have a little bit more space for my finger, but it's really difficult. Like, I gotta put my hand in there on the back side, throw the lever. I can't do it holding the camera with one hand. Super tedious. And even the RE plate's a little friendlier because it's narrower, so you got more room to throw the lever over, but it's a struggle each time. So I think I'm gonna swap this one out and put the cleans plate on my tool chest. Here's a demo on the locking issue, and you got to exercise caution and get in the habit of locking it in as follows. So normally, like on a tripod, you can just click it in and you're good, and you can see the lever through over, and I should be past the locking point. I am. So to release this, and it feels snug, to release this I'd have to slide the little latch and then throw the lever over. There, we'll just do it, right? So now we're free. I'm going to clip it in again. See, this is locked. Now, even though it's secure, and this is far more likely to happen on the small rig than the cleans, although I have had it happen on the cleans as well. But even though that lever is locked, if you push up on the back end, or you have a heavy lens on the front, it pops out. So to avoid that, which could be catastrophic in a moving vehicle or a camera cart on a sidewalk, after you've clipped in, you have to throw this over, cinch it until it locks in. Now, that is not coming out. Same as possible will happen on the cleans, but like I said, it's just been far less frequent of a accidental release on this design versus this one. Backing up FX3 footage, this is why I invested in a couple of CF Express Type A cards. So 140 gigs offloads in 3 minutes. And actually on my recent shoot with a different USB-C cable, I was able to offload in about 90 seconds to a Samsung SSD. That has not been my experience with SD cards.